Welcome to another immigration art video. My name is Art Serratelli, so feel free to contact us with any question at any time. Today's video deals with the topic of immigration for nurses. Nurses used to be, and I'm talking, I don't know, in 2005, a great category because the nursing category was designated by Congress as a labor shortage category. What does that mean? It means you don't have to do a labor certification, and the path to a green card was very, very short. If you were certified as a category of worker where there is a huge shortage in America, the employer, the doctor's group or the hospital system, they didn't have to advertise for the job. It was already determined by law, by Congress, that even if you did put an ad in the paper, you would still not have enough Americans to do the job. So there's a labor shortage in the nursing field. Now keep that in mind as I go through the rules as they once were and as they currently are. The nurses with the bachelor's degree, they assumed, well, hey, I fit into the H-1B category because I have a job, a nursing job offer, that requires a nursing degree, and I have a 4-year nursing degree, so I can get an H-1B because that's defined, an H-1B is defined as an occupation that requires at least a 4-year college degree. Aha, therein lies the problem. If you are doing the nursing job with a 4-year degree and the young man next to you is doing the nursing job with only a 2-year college degree, the government doesn't say, oh, good for you. You have a 4-year degree, we'll give you an H-1B because an H-1B is for a job that requires a college degree, a 4-year college degree. The government's going to say, oh, we're so sorry. You went to college. You have a bachelor's degree in nursing. You went to college 2 years too many. We're so sorry. You took a job where a person with a 2-year associate's degree could be doing the job, and you're doing the same job with a 4-year degree. Sorry, you went to school 2 years too many. You can't get an H-1B. No, no H-1B for you. Sorry. By definition, we need nurses, and we don't have enough Americans becoming nurses, so where are we going to get them? We need them from other countries. Well, once you hear the story that I'm about to tell you about nursing green cards, you'll be shaking your head in disappointment and sadness at the irrational results that come from a bureaucratic system. How the system used to be. In the good old days, a nurse could become a nurse through either a 2-year program, an associate's degree plus a license, a nursing license, or the nurse could have gotten a bachelor's degree and a nursing license as well. In the good old days, nurses were designated on something called Schedule A. Schedule A, as approved by Congress, classified nurses as a labor shortage area, and that gave nurses a shortcut to the green card. They were able to skip all the Department of Labor advertising. They were able to get in line for a green card, and in the preference green card category for employment-based green cards, they were a subset of the employment-based preference 3 category. They were in preference 3, but they were a subset separately identified. And in the good old days, the demand for nursing green cards was not as high as it is today. In the good old days, a nurse knew she could not or he could not get an H-1B, but it didn't matter because if you graduated from an American school of nursing with either a 2 or a 4-year degree, you went from graduate to OPT worker. And during the 12 months of OPT, the green card line, the Schedule A shortcut to the green card line, moved so fast that nurses would be issued green cards. And this makes sense because they are designated as a labor shortage area. Nurses were issued green cards within 8, 9 months, definitely before the end of OPT. Those were the good old days. Those were the days when being a nurse meant something in the immigration system. The last young lady I helped who took benefit from this expedited system, she took advantage of that designation and was able to get a green card in 8 months before her OPT expired. That was in the middle of the last decade. That was in 2004, 2005. And since then, sadly, nurses now have to wait in line for a green card. Apparently, the placement of international nurses with American healthcare systems is a booming business because there are plenty of people waiting in line, and the line is so long that it no longer makes sense to separate the poor nurse from everybody else in the EB3 category because the line is so long, the government just said, you know what, we're going to lump everybody together. Why is that significant? Because of the oversubscription. There's too many nurses in line now. The nurse category takes sometimes 6 years. If you're from India or China, it could take, I'm sorry in advance, it could take 8, 9, or 10 years. 10 years. Now, does that make sense? See, that's the thing that makes me really disappointed. The American population is aging. Congress has already determined nursing to be a shortage area. And what is the irrational bureaucratic result? That it could take a nurse from India or China 10 years to get a green card. How can you stay in America after you graduate from a nursing program and you can't get an H-1B? Because as long as there are 2-year nurses performing as nurses, the government will never let a nurse get an H-1B except in very limited circumstances. And I have a memo that explains those limited circumstances. So how does a nurse stay in America and wait for 7, 8, 9, oh no, 10 years to get a green card? You graduate from school and you need to work, and then you're going to be in line for a green card for a decade? How does that work? Well, the way the system works today is clearly not ideal. It's not perfect, but there are some solutions. Today, the way a nursing student progresses in the immigration system is as follows. You graduate from nursing school, and more students these days are getting BSNs. The industry has woken up and they're starting to create magnet hospital centers, centers of excellence, where eventually all the nurses in the hospital system will have to have bachelors of science in nursing degrees. And once a hospital system requires every nurse to have a BSN, then the Immigration Service and the Department of Labor will say, okay, now you have a BSN, we will let you have an H-1B because everybody around you at work also has a bachelor's degree. So H-1Bs will be available eventually for nurses with bachelor's degrees who work in hospital systems where every nurse is required to have a bachelor's degree. But until we have a system where the 2-year nurse program no longer exists, the nurse ordinarily cannot get an H-1B. So what does the nurse do? Okay, here we go. The nurse could, one, graduate with a bachelor's, go work for a full year on OPT and do what's necessary to get a nursing license. Then once OPT is over in a year, go back and get a master's degree in nursing. If you get a master's degree in nursing, then you step up your game. You're not just a typical nurse. You are for example, a midwife or a nurse anesthetist or a nurse practitioner, where you almost perform all the tasks of a physician. So these days, a nurse needs to have a master's degree to get an H-1B. Often I'm told, Art, it sounds like a really good idea in the abstract. Get a bachelor's degree in nursing, work on OPT for a year, save money, then go back and get a master's degree. But I got to tell you, I cannot afford a master's degree. And maybe this suggestion, if you do some research, could help. Ideally, you could find a master's degree in nursing program that will allow you to work on CPT for 20 hours a week and continue your nursing career part-time, 20 hours a week on CPT, while you're earning your master's degree in nursing. Second, if a nurse has other credentials, then perhaps the nursing portion of the job is less than half, maybe a third of your job is nursing, but maybe you also have a master's degree in health public policy, or maybe you have taken business courses. Maybe you have an associate's degree in business and a nursing degree, so maybe you have administrative tasks. So for example, we've had a client who had job duties that were both business oriented and administrative and involved actual patient care. That job was not strictly nursing, and the business aspects, the scheduling, the inventory control, the quality control required to make sure the right patient got the right medicine at the right time, all those administrative tasks created a position that was not strictly a run-of-the-mill nurse position. That kind of a job qualifies for an H-1B. Another example is a client we had who had a master's degree in public policy and a nursing license, a nursing degree. That young man became an infection control specialist in a cardiac care unit. Now, that is not a typical 2-year nurse assignment. To be brought into a hospital in an administrative position where you not only are responsible for the infection control policies of a certain unit of the hospital, you are also doing some nursing tasks in your job description. So you're a nurse, but you're the infection control quality manager or something to that effect. The third choice for a nurse is a category where you may, and this one is tricky, you may be able to get an H-1B if you show that a normal requirement of the job is a 4-year nursing degree plus extra. Extra what? Extra coursework, extra on-the-job training, where you get a certificate, where you pass a certain test to demonstrate a certain level of proficiency. If you are in a certificate program up and above what's required for a bachelor's in nursing, and that's a requirement for your job, there's a chance you could get an H-1B. So that's my advice. If you were a family member, I would tell you, get a bachelor's degree, work on OPT, get your license, then go get a master's degree that allows you to work part-time as a nurse while you're studying in the master's program. And if you can work part-time as a nurse while you're in master's degree program, and the master's degree program leads to a job at a university-based healthcare system that's exempt from the H-1B quota, you are in. It's just a matter of waiting for the green card. And until Congress acts to reform the way nurses are treated in our immigration system, they really need a separate category. They need to be employment-based 6 with no limit, no quota, no wait time. It needs to be like the old days where you graduate, you get OPT, and within a year before OPT expires, you get a green card. America's getting older. The population is aging. America needs nurses. America needs nurses now. So please don't be discouraged if nursing is your chosen career. Call with questions, and I will try to help you the best I can find your way through the current irrational system that governs immigration for nurses.